Welcome back. I've got Schuyler Williamson on the line. Schuyler, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Michael?
Not too bad, not too bad. I so wanted to say Schuyler at the beginning, but I'm not going to. Uh, yeah, so yeah, we pre-show folks, we talked about that a little bit. So really appreciate your time today, Schuyler. So why don't you share a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas. I have two wonderful children, ages 11 and 7. Been married for 20 years, so I'm very blessed in that regard to have a great partner in life. We operate and run three different businesses. Two are in real estate. We have a real estate sales company. We have a luxury home building company that builds 15 homes a year, give or take, here in Austin. And then we own a laundromat franchise that we run under the brand Laundry Love. So we're busy. We're busy. We've got about 70 people underneath our umbrella of folks that we take care of their families and they take care of our business. And yeah, just hustling, just enjoying life, trying to be a good dad, a good husband.
Well, you picked a pretty good city to do that out of, since
Yeah,
half of California moved there. I say that tongue in cheek,
yeah,
being
yeah,
being San Diego based. But yeah, I've been to Austin, a few times. The last time was a couple years ago, and I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
wow, growth, prosperity, and so which is beautiful.
wild.
It's beautiful. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, but in the businesses that you're in, with obviously people need to wash their clothes, but also they need to have a place to live, and then people that have the ability to afford some really really nice homes.
Yeah,
They're going to look and they're going to like, I want something new.
yeah,
So that's and you definitely pass entrepreneur 101 class. It's like diversify, have
yeah,
your eggs in different buckets, because if you're only making all your income from TikTok, we'll see how that plays out. But yeah,
yeah,
those were a scary 12 hours for some people.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they're
It
like,
was.
that was their revenue stream, all of a sudden, like, gone, like, ugh. But yeah,
Yeah.
don't do that. So what, what got you interested in, I guess we can talk all that, but, and I definitely want to talk about your new book, because it's timely, to say the least. I'm a leadership junkie by trade, and I love, anything that can help leaders become better leaders,
Yeah.
because when that happens, you have healthier, better organizations, and we get better products and services. And I'm selfish. I want the good stuff. And
Yeah.
so it's really important. So, what got you, briefly, what got you into the real estate, and, obviously the laundromat side of things, how did that come about?
Well, man, two very different stories. Laundry is a little bit simpler to tell, so I'll table that to the end. In real estate, uh, I guess you got to go all the way back to the beginning. I went to West Point for my undergraduate degree. I actually had the chance to play professional baseball, and that was great. But I left professional baseball to go into the military as an officer, and it was during a time of war. The Iraq and Afghanistan wars were in full swing, and I did the Ranger School, airborne, all that stuff, and I got the chance to serve in both combat environments, Iraq and Afghanistan, and I love the military. I loved everything about it. I think God built me to be a warrior. 20 years ago, I looked more like one, but I was good at it. But I did want a family, and my wife, because of the environment we were in, and I was in an infantry platoon, so we were fighting a lot. Uh, she didn't want to have children with me and me not come home, which I felt was completely reasonable. So when my obligation to the military ended, I decided to get out. Now, my undergraduate degree was in engineering. And I knew enough about engineering to know that if you're an infantryman for 6 years, you don't have any business going to being an engineer. Like, it's a technical enough field. You should stay away from that. So I went to Texas, the Macomb School of Business, for my MBA. And when I was in that program, I got some advice from a mentor that I took to heart, and they said, don't pick the industry, pick the leader. And so I had a leader that I wanted to go work for, and I was hunting that hard. And of course, the program wants you to go to some big bank or some consulting firm or something like that that's going to pay you a lot of money. My first job out of the MBA program was $55,000. So less than half of the other offers I had, but it was the right leader. And that leader happened to be in real estate. And so that's why I chose real estate. It, uh, it came with the leader that I chose to follow. And, here we are today. Of course, I left that corporate office, years ago, to pursue my own entrepreneurial endeavors. But yeah, I mean, that was how real estate started. Laundry, laundry is super interesting. We bought a retail center that had 5 units, and 3 of the units were already leased. And we knew, we've got a great leasing broker, commercial broker, and we had faith in our guy. You'd get these other 2 units leased, of course, and then our value of our real estate would be more. Well, he got the fourth space rented, but he could never get the fifth space rented. And we're like, all right, well, we can't just own this piece of real estate and leave it vacant. That doesn't make any sense. So we started looking at businesses we could plug in that were relatively hands off, great tax benefits, and could get the cash flow pretty quickly. Laundry is a good business. And so we plugged it in there. You know what? It exceeded our expectations, even in the face of COVID and some other really challenging environments. Because laundry is a core thing that people have to do every day. So now our whole investment strategy in commercial real estate is kind of baked around this: find a retail location that is vacant that we can plug a laundromat into, where both of them succeed. The real estate would succeed because of the client there, and the laundromat you would make sense because of the location. And so we've done this successfully a handful of times now, and we franchise that concept. And in this year, I'm happy to say we're selling franchises. Uh, but it was just, all we were doing was solving a real estate problem, and it landed us with another beautiful business. And it wasn't like I woke up one day and thought, man, I want to have all these businesses. I had one business, and then I had some talent enter in my life, and they said, hey, I would love to partner with you and do this. And when you come into contact with really talented people, you need to say yes to some of them because they could expand your world. And so when that individual came into my life, I said yes because I wanted to be in relationship with them. And then there was the birth of the construction company. The guys that I partner with on the commercial real estate, I said yes to them because I wanted to be in relationship with them. There was the birth of the laundromat company. And so what I've done is, I guess, a reasonable job of attracting talent to my life, and then being willing to say yes, and then foster that. I mean, that's why I'm here today, is because I'm just in relationship with great people.
That's awesome. And I definitely we'll segue into the book, but I want to comment about the laundromat side of things. Yeah,
Yeah.
and my wife, when we first met, she was in an apartment building, and they had like one washer and dryer in the basement of the machine or in the building, and it was always busy. She could never get it. So there was a laundromat, just about a block and a half up from us,
Yeah.
and it was part of, there was a strip of different restaurants. So she would do the laundry in there, but then she would go to the other businesses, either grab lunch, have a cup of coffee, or whatever. And that's the perfect thing for, an organization, or, you get four or
Co-tenants
five
love it.
stores. Yeah, co-tenants love it. Yeah, because you've got a built-in audience. Like, well, I'm not going to sit here and wait for, 45 minutes for my, undergarments to wash. It's like, I can go next door and grab a cup of coffee and pop
Well,
back, or grab lunch, or pick up
well,
a
if the,
couple
the cell
things.
phone store is next door, how many times? It's a week. Laundry is a weekly chore. How many times can you say no to a new cell phone before you're like, all right, I'll just walk in there and get the daggum new cell phone, right?
Yep.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
co-tenant. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah. And it feeds each other. And it's like, oh, you know what? This is convenient. I could do my laundry here instead of waiting for that stupid machine that never dries my clothes.
Oh yeah.
No, it's spot on. So you've got a book coming out, and I always love when I get authors on the show, because I always ask them this question, what in the world made you want to give up so much of your life to write a book? Because it is a time consuming endeavor, but you know what? It, in many ways, and of course, I'm saying this from my point of view, it's a lot like, birthing, not the actual physical process of birthing a child, but, you know, you're creating this thing that it was originally in here, and now it's a breathing document or a book that you hold in your hand. And sharing your stories or sharing ideas and things like that in a public way, it's amazing. A stat, is like, less, I think it's less than 2 or 3% of the world population will ever write a book. So it's a small fraternity. As many books as are in Barnes and Noble or on Amazon, it's a small fraternity. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, congratulations on writing the book. And secondly, what's the book about?
Yeah. The book's titled The Steady Leader. And for me, and the subtitle is bringing clarity, bringing clarity to chaos through models. And so it's a book of stories through my combat time, through my entrepreneurial endeavors, through my time in professional baseball, of how I've led myself, led my team, and led my company. And it's three sections, intentionally so. And I believe that before you can lead a team, you've got to lead yourself. Yeah, I know you talk a lot about burnout. Uh, yeah, if we don't lead ourselves as leaders first every day, we're not going to be who we need to be for our team, so that they can be ultra successful. But yeah, we're actually opting in to risk in our own self failing, and so we've got to lead ourselves every day. And once you've accomplished that, then you can lead a team. And I don't care if you're the CEO or the co-founder or just a team leader. Like, you don't get to make that step to leading the business until you run that team well. All of us have a team, and then there's these models for leading the company, and it's models that bring clarity to chaos and bring clarity in the mundane. I believe in steady leadership, and I believe there's two big swings in our life. I think there's very chaotic times, and then I think there's very mundane times, and I've tasted both. Right, I've been in combat where I was getting blown up and getting shot at and all. I mean, very chaotic time to be a leader. And then if you look at my life today, if I'm working 10 hours, 9 hours are in the office. I mean, I could lose my grip on my steadiness just sitting there as well. And so you gotta have models for both. And I think that models give you the best way to think clearly when you feel your time's pinched, or when you feel a little anxious, or, got stress on you. Um, Whenever you can think on top of a model that's already been successful, you're already at success just deploying the model. Then you can do your thinking on top of that, and that'll make you pretty unique in business. And so the book was for a gift first and foremost to the world, and I believe that we are giving gifts and we should steward those gifts. So
Mhm.
I received these stories, I received these talents and skills. I've read the books that were blessed to me in my life. So this is my gift and stewarding what I have with the rest of the world. And then also there's a model in it, right? Like, I'm trying to build influence. And I went and read three or four influencer books, the Gary V's and guys like that. I read their books, and every major influencer has written a book. And so I've always been really willing to just do the hard work. And so if part of the model of building influence is write a book, well, to me, that's just work, and I'm going to do the work. And so that's kind of what I did. I wrote it as a gift to the world, but then, I did the work to try to help my influence grow.
Yeah, and it's good to, and I love how you've laid the book out with your variety of different experiences that have a lot of differences, but a lot of similarities because we pick up tools in our lives, over our life, different ways to look at things, approach things, whether it's you're on the combat field or on the baseball diamond or you're in the office and you're reviewing opportunities for some new commercial real estate opportunities, or maybe like you said, you launched uh, your your franchise. Those are all, those
Yeah.
things are using strategy and a system and a map, and having those things out are really good. And you mentioned something a moment ago, I don't want to glaze over this, is there are times, I know this is going to be a shock to some people, where you're not motivated to do something today or this afternoon, or you're like, "Ugh, I don't really want to do this." I mean, you may not say it out loud, but your body and your brain's going, a nap would be really good, or you know what, let's just take a longer lunch, or
Yeah.
I'll take the afternoon off. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. harmonize your life to what you need. If your body's telling you to do that, then you should listen to your body. But
Yeah.
you have to recognize though, okay, is that my body doing that, or am I uncomfortable about something? And this is where discipline eats motivation for lunch, breakfast, dinner, snacks, you name it. Discipline is where it's at. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I mean, based on your career and all the things you've got to do so far, it's like you need to be disciplined to be a professional athlete. You have to be disciplined to be in the combat zone, or in, you may not be in combat right now, but you're planning, you're looking, okay, it looks like we're gonna take this mission, we're gonna do this and this, we have to have this and this is when we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I saw it was a meme the other day. It was an image of Steve Jobs. Polarizing figure. Some people love him, some people didn't. But
Yeah.
he basically talked about the story of fishermen that would go out to the ocean to catch fish.
Yeah.
So their basically jobs are two. One, going out to catch the fish, and when they're not out catching the fish, they're repairing nets and working on the nets. So they're either working on what makes them their revenue, or they're working on the tools to help them make their revenue. And
Yeah.
very simple but very powerful, and
Yeah.
that's why having a system, a roadmap, so no matter where you're at, you can kind of pause and go, okay, where am I? Okay,
Yeah.
this is what I need to do. All right, I'm not motivated to do that. All right, well, what's something else that I can do to keep the momentum kind of moving along? And sometimes it might be something really simple, and
Yep.
I find this all the time. I'm like, okay, the afternoons, because I'm an early riser, afternoons, I'm like, okay, tank's running a little low. Okay, what do I need to do here?
Yeah.
And
But
it's like, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, you can organize your day around that. I mean,
Mhm.
you know yourself. And, in the military gave me so many beautiful gifts. It really did. But one of the things that leaders in the military have pride in is thinking. Like we are thinkers. And they throw around the word strategy a lot, which I think military strategy is a little different than corporate strategy, but they both require thinking. And we would before you actually start to plan the execution of a mission, you would look at the situation that you're in, and you would say, okay, what's the environment look like? What's the terrain of the battlefield? What assets do the enemy have? What assets do I have? And I think that's what you're hitting on is what assets do I have? Right? What vulnerabilities do I have? And we've got to be grateful for the feelings that we experience because they tell us something. If you're worried about an appointment that you're about to go on, well, what that worry, you got, all right, I'm grateful for the worry because you know what? The worry is telling me I'm not prepared yet. And so, really, what I need to do is not just sit in that worry. I need to put that worry where it belongs and go take action and plan and like actually be prepared for the appointment that I'm about to go on. And so we don't run from our feelings. We don't hate our feelings. We appreciate our feelings, but be a thinker. Try to understand why am I having that thought? And once you understand why, then take action. And I think that's could sum up discipline all around is discipline's saying no to the things that aren't productive and saying yes and taking action on the things that are productive. And if you're just willing to do that, if you're willing to say no to everything that's not and say yes to the things that are, then people will walk around and say, well, man, you're a disciplined guy. Look, I was blessed to never be the best at baseball until the very end of my career. And the reason why I call it a blessing is because I always had a part of my game I needed to work on. And when other kids would go and play video games or do whatever they did, I would grab my bat and my baseball and I would go hit off the tee in this old shrimp net we had in our backyard until you couldn't see anymore. And so what I was doing, I was saying yes to a productive activity in pursuit of the vision I had for my life, and saying no to all the other stuff that wasn't productive. It doesn't mean I wouldn't have had fun. I would have had fun playing video games, but people called me disciplined as a child because I was willing to say yes to the right things.
Yeah, and it's instilled in us, and we lean into it. And sometimes if we just don't feel it, it's like do something, even if it's just getting up and going for a walk around the block to
Oh yeah.
clear your head. Just we're not machines. We do need to take breaks, or we will break. But that doesn't mean that break needs to be 6 hours long unless you're sleeping. Sleeping, yeah, you definitely want to maximize your best sleep because again, that's setting yourself up for
Yeah.
success, and it's so important. So, another question I like to ask authors, and it's always a difficult one to ask because it's like saying, "Oh, who's your favorite kid?" You don't want to answer that question
Yeah.
publicly or privately; that'll get you in trouble. But is there a section in the book that is your favorite, or maybe another way to put it is when you were writing it, it jumped out as you was like, "Okay, I'm really, really proud that this is in the book." And the
You know,
answer could be, I love the whole book, and that's
yeah, well,
perfect.
listen,
Yeah.
I love the whole book.
Yeah.
It's essentially my life and models. No, I think just I'll just go with the thought that hit my brain first, and that is we've got a section in the book called combat ready. And if you're a unit in the military and you're combat ready, it means you are ready to go on mission. You're trained, you got your equipment, you got your full personnel, you're ready to move. Um, the way that I wrote it in the book is specifically in the leading yourself part is you need to be healthy. And to me, healthy is you're mentally healthy, you're physically healthy, and you're spiritually healthy. And I look at it as like a four-legged stool. And if you just picture yourself sitting on a stool in a boat that's rocking in the ocean, the ocean at its normal state has slow movement. And you probably could sit on maybe a single-legged stool. You might be able to sit on a two-legged stool. You certainly could sit on a four-legged stool. But as soon as a storm comes, and that boat really starts to rock, right? And you just picture this. Well, do you really want to be sitting on a two-legged stool once the boat is really rocking in that storm and chaos? No, you don't. So you need to be mentally strong and healthy. And that to me, that's a growth mindset. You're feeding it every morning with books or content like what you're putting out right now. You need to be physically strong. You need to be in a position where, and I love this in the stoicism mindset. You need to be able to tell your body what to do, not your body tell you need to slow down, right? So you need to be physically fit enough that you're in charge of your body. And if I needed a 10-hour day, I can produce a 10-hour day and my body won't limit me in that. And then I think you need to be spiritually strong. And we could probably have a whole podcast around spiritual strength, but the easiest way that I can say whether you're spiritually healthy or not is when you wake up in the morning, do you think about what you're going to get or what you're going to give to the world? And if you think about what you're going to give to the world, then you're more spiritually healthy than not. If you think about what you're going to get, there's some spiritual health that you need to work on there because I think the most spiritually gifted people in our world are the ones that know that their life isn't about them; it's about others, and their life is a gift, right? And so, I think to be combat ready, right? To be able to walk into your office in the morning and be the guy or gal that your company needs you to be that day to be their best. I think you got to be healthy in all three regards.
And it shows, and it also proves to your team, it makes them more trustworthy of you because you are walking the walk and talking the talk, and you're investing in them. And thing that author John Gordon taught me, he's mentioned this in several of his books and the shows he's been on, is every morning when his feet hit the floor, he says thank you, and that's how he starts his day. And it's
Yeah.
like, thank you for this opportunity to do and give. He's not the only one that's ever said this. It's like you hear people say, "I gotta go to work," and he says, "I get to go to work. I get to,"
Yes.
and
So good.
it's one word difference, but it is a universally different word, and it
Yeah.
changes everything because you get to use your skills, your gifts, your desires, and all of that, and help paint this mosaic that we call life. And when you do that, whether you are the leader of an organization or you are a leader in your organization, you can be frontline and you can be a leader.
Yeah.
You've seen that throughout your
Yep.
career in life.
Yep.
It's like whether it's the clubhouse guy that's keeping the clubhouse room, or
Yeah.
somebody that's in combat that gets you prepared to make sure that you get to go home.
Yeah.
It, crucial.
Yeah,
We're all important on this. So,
man. Yeah, so good. And I just on the power of words. Words are life giving or they're life taking, right? And so the gratitude or thank you, those are life giving words. And I love to think of it this way: you walk into a really dark room, okay, where darkness has overcome that room. How much light do you have to put out there to light the whole room up? You know, just a little flame, just a little light makes all the darkness go away. It's impossible to be disgusted with your life at the same time you're grateful for it. And so, man, I love that. When you wake up in the morning saying thank you, you're essentially sending the darkness running, and all those negative feelings, you're sending them running, and you're starting your day with light and moving in that direction. I mean, I love that. That's a
yeah.
great thing for everybody to do.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's get to it. And it sets the tone for the whole day. So, Schuyler, love this conversation. Where can people find out more about you, how to get your book, and everything else you're doing?
Yeah, you can go to schuylerwilliamson.com. You can see all that we're doing, and whether it's laundry or real estate, you can interact with us. The book is at thesteadyleader.com. And of course, on both websites, you can find me either way. The two social platforms that I'm the most active on is LinkedIn and X. On both platforms, you know, we post multiple times a day, but I read every morning. Right now, I'm reading a book on how the brain works and how to have a healthy brain. And so every morning, I post my journal entry for myself just on those platforms so that, you know, the world can take advantage of that. So if you're not a big book reader, but you want, you know, a little nugget every day, you can just follow me there and pick up on that.
That's awesome. Definitely put that in the show notes. So, Schuyler, thank you for being you. I always say thank you for your service to the country, not only in your military role, but as a leader and helping people have laundromats and beautiful homes and beautiful commercial property to grow their businesses and thrive. It's you're a giver and it shows. So, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Grateful for the opportunity.